Exclusive: the real reasons Gbenga Daniel pulled out of PDP. Gbenga Daniel, Director General of the Atiku Abubakar Campaign Organization, announced his resignation from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and from active politics on Saturday, citing a number of reasons. In a letter dated March 14, 2019, and addressed to the national chairman of the party, the former governor of Ogun State noted that the decision is personal and that he decided to take on new challenges. He also said he had decided to rejuvenate his charity-based organization, the Gateway Front Foundation, GFF, and that he wanted to resuscitate the Nonpartisan Political Leadership Academy, POLA, which was established some years ago as a platform of political education to our citizens. Daniel indeed made a feeble attempt at revealing the real motivation for his exit when he stated in the 5th and 6th paragraphs of his resignation letter thus: "Notwithstanding these widely acclaimed achievements, however, our party, the People's Democratic Party, ran into troubled waters towards the end of our administration, about the year 2009, which led to the sad loss in the election of 2011, and regrettably 10 years after the party has been unable to resolve those internal disputes and challenges." Meanwhile, the PDP in Ogun State was confronted with a very difficult situation in matter of choice. Whereas the national leadership of our party recognized one candidate for the 2019 election, by court pronouncements another candidate, and in compliance with those court orders, which the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, recognized was on the INEC list. The candidates recognized by INEC were not acceptable to the national leadership of the party. Our situation was then compounded because the candidate which the court and INEC recognized and accepted as valid has also been expelled by the party. This was the dilemma we found ourselves as we approached the March 9, 2019 governorship and State House of Assembly elections. But Sahara Reporters understands the issues run deeper than that. These two exclude the straw that broke the camel's back, which is his sidelining by the PDP from the moment he helped Atiku Abubakar secure the presidential ticket of the party, an action he considers not just an affront on himself but a continuation of the party's long-running disdain for the Southwest. The story of Daniel's emergence as Atiku's campaign director is itself steeped in his interest in the national chairmanship of the party, an ambition he ultimately failed to realize. Gbenga Daniel contested the national chairmanship of the party in 2017, a source at the PDP National Secretariat in Abuja, who asked not to be named, told Sahara Reporters. Then, everyone agreed, according to the Waikiki report, that the national chairman should go to the Southwest. But Waik, with his overbearing attitude, was everywhere blasting the Southwest leadership that they wanted to reap where they did not sow, and in the end, the ticket was taken away from the Southwest and taken to the South. Seeing that the PDP's power brokers, spearheaded by Nyesom Waik, the major financier of the party, were bent on making a South-Southerner the national chairman, Daniel was forced for withdrawal from the race. Other politicians from the Southwest who also withdrew are Rashidi Ladoja, former Oyo State Governor, Jimmy Agbaje, perennial Lagos State governorship aspirant, Adremi Iliskun, an Ekiti State politician, and Bode George, former national vice chairman, Southwest, of the party, who was very critical of the party. The zoning principle, which was publicly reinforced last year in Port Harcourt, had specifically and rightly affirmed the Southwest as the zone to produce the national chairman. This binding proclamation was based on equity, fairness and natural balance that hold any organization together, George said while announcing his withdrawal. It appears the PDP is now bent on self-destruction. It has obviously allowed money moguls to dictate its thematic largeness. The party has lost its soul. It has lost its principled beginning and the predications of righteousness. It has traded the finer principles of democratic guidance and equity for the squalid, dirty and shameful resort to mercenary agenda where nothing matters save the putrid, oafish gains of the moment. I cannot be part of this screaming aberration. And as the Atone of Yoruba land, I do not expect any well-meaning, well-disciplined, forthright, sincere Moluabi of Yoruba land to continue with this deceit and shameful theater. The People's Democratic Party has now mangled and distorted its soul and spirit. There is no morality here anymore. There is no sanity or any sense of enlightened civility. I, hereby, withdraw from this brazen fraud and absolutely preconceived, monetized, mercantilist convention. Ugh. Second is one of only 2 South Southerners who showed interest in the race in contrast to 7 from the Southwest eventually became national chairman in December 2017. Raymond Dokpsai from the South and Professors Tawhide Doja and Tund Adan Iron from the Southwest were his only 3 opponents, after all others withdrew. Removal from Atiku campaign. Not long after that, Atiku, who was running for the PDP presidential ticket, approached Daniel and made him the Director General of his campaign. The entire PDP leadership also stood up against him, the Wikes of this world, the Fayosis of this world. And I can tell you that for the campaign, he spent most of the personal money because Atiku didn't spend as much as he spent on past primaries. Daniel wanted to prove a pint as well, so he spent his money, said the source. Now, Atiku won the ticket in Port Harcourt, against all odds and the game plans of Wike. Good luck. Jonathan told Atiku in confidence that, having been a victim of it, Atiku should retain the structure that won him the ticket of the party because if he gives in to the pressure of the party, they would end up milking him, and instead of concentrating on the campaign, they would concentrate on making money from him. But what did they do? After he won the primary, they shoved Daniel aside and brought Kola Sairaki from the North Central. This is one of the anti-Southwest sentiment going on in the PDP. The Obasanjo Kashanwu Butted tussle. Since 2009, when Daniel was still Ogun State Governor, PDP has been in crisis, a part of which was the war between Ogun East Senator Boruji Kashanwu and former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Instead of the National Exco to look for a way to resolve it, they turned it into a cash cow and started collecting money from both sides, a member of the PDP in Ogun told Sahara reporters. They did that till even 2015 as well, when Jonathan was in government. Adamu Mazu was also collecting money from Boruji to give him the exco of the party. In 2019, it was Lottie they turned to, and they were collecting money from him. Lottie paid them to actually expel Boruji Kashanwu from the party, so it was not really because they thought Boruji had violated the rules of the party. That's just one of the PDP issues. After the recent judgments that favored Kashanwu, it has become clear that the tussle will not end anytime soon. Part of the judgment Kashanwu got from the court is that after the tenure of this present exco ends in 2020, that exco, since it has now been legitimized, has the right to conduct a congress that will produce the next exco, which means it is either they remain in power or they make sure to bring on an exco that is loyal to Kashemu. Therefore, Daniel, who is on Nbatu's side, sees no place for himself in Ogun politics, especially with the party also factionalized. Nbatu has become a friend of Amosom, further depleting the PDP's rank. On Sunday, Daniel held a meeting with his political family, who are now pressuring him to join to the All Progressives Congress, APC. That was a day after Dapo Abiodun, the Ogun state governor-elect, met with him at his home in Maryland, Lagos. Daniel hasn't decided yet whether to join the APC.